All right, we're going to talk about 1.2, measuring and constructing segments. The first thing we need to do, this is a pretty easy lesson, but the first thing is just to understand the ruler postulate and understand that a postulate is just an accepted truth. It's not something we have to prove in geometry. But the ruler postulate works like this. It actually has some pretty complicated, what looks complicated in terms of its terminology, but really, the grand scheme of things, it just says, hey, let's say I'm at -2 and I want to go to 5 on a number line. How far did you travel? And so from -2 to 5, if we want to kind of get a little technical, we say -2 to 0 is we traveled 2 units, and from 0 to 5 we travel 5 units. So we've traveled a total of 7 units. Okay, now what the ruler postulate does is it puts it in more of a general format. It says, let's call that point A and point B. And, luckily point B, but point B. And we'll say that point A is x sub 1 and point B is x sub 2. And it says the length of A to B is the absolute value of x2 minus x1. That's what the ruler postulate actually says, which in that terms would be the absolute value of 5 minus -2, which is just 5 plus 2, or absolute value of 7, which is 7, which we were able to figure out pretty darn quick that way. Now the reason absolute value symbols are there just in case would be just in case you were to switch these around, and to say like this is, we call this one x2 and this one x1, and in that case that would mean that these values would switch around, and here it wouldn't be 5 here any longer. Okay, you'd end up with -2 minus 5, which would be -7. Absolute value of -7 is 7. That's why we have to have absolute value symbols. So that's the ruler postulate. The next one is called the segment addition postulate. And that just says if I have a segment, we'll use A, B as an example. If we have segment AB and we put another point in here, C, well, let's say from A to B has a length of 6, and A to C has a length of 2, that would mean C to B would have to have a length of 4, because 2 plus 4 is 6. That's really the segment addition postulate. It just says AC plus CB is equal to AB. Just says, hey, this thing added to this thing equals this whole thing. And really, that's usually something we know. Okay, so it's really not anything major. It's just really quick and easy postulates, things that we use all the time. We just haven't put names to them. And now you have the names.